So, as I'm watching the Gypsy Rose drama unfold and watching this whole love triangle thing between Gypsy, Ken, and Ryan, I'm getting some serious flashbacks of a major story that was very popular back when I was in high school, which a lot of people recognize it as Twilight. Isn't it interesting the parallels if you think about it? Okay. So, when Gypsy was with Ken, she was in prison, as everyone knows, and then he supposedly broke up with her because he was trying to protect her, wanted her to find her own voice and find her own path, and he didn't want to keep her back and hold her back from life. Kind of like how Edward left Bella because he was afraid he was a danger to her. Not along the same caliber, but similar lines, right? Leaving to protect her. Okay. So what happens? He leaves. Then another guy comes in. They have a friendship. They start getting to know each other. Turns out that maybe there's some chemistry there. Okay. Like her and Ryan. Now, unlike Twilight, obviously, in Twilight, Jacob and Bella, they never actually get together. But you can always tell in the Twilight movies how she sort of continues to dangle the carrot in front of his face. Like she knows that he is really interested in her, but she's not really interested in him. She's just kind of like, she doesn't want to be alone. She doesn't want to be lonely. She doesn't want to feel that heartache that she had to feel when, Edward left. So what does she do? She drags Jacob along and continues to give him this sense that maybe one day they'll end up together. Isn't that kind of similar to what's happening now? Like when she got with Ryan in prison, she continued to talk about the fact that she had been in love with Ken and he was the love of her life. And, he was the man she would get the sun, moon, and the stars for and serve it up on a platter for, right? Okay. While she's with Ryan, she's saying this kind of stuff on like her show, which I thought, Mike, if you're married to somebody, you should be saying that about an ex. Like, first off, that's like major red flags. Regardless, so she's saying all this about this guy that she was once in love with who basically dumped her and broke her heart, right? Kind of like what Bella and Jacob kind of go through, where she's like, oh yeah, Edward hurt me and I'm all heartbroken and boo-hoo, and Jacob's like, well, I'll be your buddy, I'll be your friend. Okay, so what happens? So then she continues to dangle Jacob along for multiple books, to the point where she even gets pregnant by the original guy, right? Kind of like what happens in the Twilight series. Edward disappears and all of a sudden shows back up in her life and is like, oh, I know that I cared about protecting you before, but you know what? Screw it, we're meant to be together. Kind of like what happened with Gypsy and Ken. And then, now that they're together, right? Still dangling the carrot in front of Jacob's face. Even like I said, when she gets pregnant, she's still kind of like, not really, but kind of being like, yeah, I love him, but he's not really being that supportive. Kind of like how she said that, the first few weeks after having a baby, her and Ken were in a bad spot. Makes me wonder if maybe she didn't think he was being that supportive, kind of like what Bella said about Edward and her pregnancy. And then, of course, the major difference, the big difference, which, of course, we're all waiting for the final chapter, if you will, of the Gypsy Ken Ryan saga. We have the final chapter of the Twilight saga, but we don't have the final chapter of the Ken Gypsy Ryan saga. And so the question I have, is it going to end along similar paths? I really hope not, because that'd be really disgusting. Because, let's hope that Ryan doesn't fall in love with Gypsy's daughter. That'd be nasty. Regardless, which, again, that won't happen because that was a fictitious book. And honestly, nobody knows what the writer of Twilight was thinking. Having a werewolf fall in love with a baby. Okay, that's just all sorts of ick and wrong and weird. I don't care if, she's going to age really fast and he's going to stay at the same age. No, that's just fucking weird. But if we get past that whole weird analogy thing, right, which nobody understands, what happened at the end of Twilight? Okay, at the end of Twilight, they're all happy, hunky-dory. Jacob is supposedly over Bella, and supposedly now they're just like a family, right? So my question is, with all this carrot dangling going on, right, with the fact that Ryan had admitted that they giggitied like the day she left. And yeah, they got this supposed paternity test done at some clinic, and most likely that baby is Ken's, whatever. But we don't know how this saga is going to end. Unlike Twilight, we don't have any sort of peek into the ending of this saga. So there's a few things that obviously could happen, and they're people, they're going to live their own lives. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. But with the similarities between Twilight and this whole Gypsy Rose love triangle thing, it does make you kind of wonder, like, everything's been so similar as far as the plot goes. Is it going to follow a similar plot? At the end of all this, are they going to end up being some sort of weird throuple thing where they're like a family, but that they're friends? Or is it going to be like the opposite? Is it going to be where they just have no contact whatsoever? Or is it going to be where both guys decide to finally smarten up and dump the broad and leave and get out of her freaking life? Because honestly, in my opinion, that would be the smartest of all outcomes. When it comes to Twilight, both guys were idiots, okay? They're fighting over a woman who straight up was okay with dating a guy who said, I want to murder you. I want to drain you of your blood. And she's just like, sign me up, drain my veins. I'm in love with you. That should be a red flag to any guy ever, okay? Just like it should have been a red flag to Ryan Anderson and Ken Urker that Gypsy was in prison for first-degree murder. I don't care if that wasn't her actual lock-upable offense, okay? That's what she did. She planned, orchestrated, got the implements, and literally, most likely, partook in the murder of not only another living being, of the person who gave birth to her and raised her and took care of her. We don't know everything that happened. Speculation. However, again, red flags, right? So, what should have happened in Twilight is as soon as Edward said, I want to drain you of your blood and I want to kill you. And she said, that doesn't matter. He should have went, peace, Beezy. I ain't part of this because I'm sorry. You cool with that? You're cool with me wanting to off you? Oh, okay. That's not concerning at all, because if she's okay with that, what else is she okay with? What else is she doing? Is she offing people? Maybe she's also... I'm just saying, like, that would, in my opinion, should have been the train of thought, right? Why would this lady be okay with dating a guy who blatantly to her face told her he wants to kill her? Okay? Read, see, look, notice the red flags, okay? That is what Ryan Anderson and Ken Urker should have been doing. Oh, this woman, look at how pretty she is. Whatever, some people think she's attractive. Teach their own, okay? I'm sure there are people that think I am booty friggin' ugly. And that's okay. We are all attracted to different people, and I know my hair ain't doing me many favors right now. But back to the point of what I'm saying. They should have seen that she was in prison for this horrific crime, and they should have been like, oh, peace, Beezy. I ain't dealing with this bowl of crazy, okay? That's what they should have done. And instead, because they didn't, because she's a master manipulator and narcissist, and because who knows what dirt she has on these guys, I swear she must have an arsenal of something that they don't want getting out there. Because she's not that special. For these two guys to basically be maybe Ryan's not obsessed over her anymore, but the way he acted was very much in a way of somebody who is absolutely just enamored with somebody. So, if these two storylines had done what rational people are supposed to do, we wouldn't have the drama we get. And granted, we all love the drama. We follow the drama. We watch the drama. We sip the tea, as they say, right? Even when it's piping hot, we sip it. So, in a sense, yeah, sure, it's fun that we got this drama. But I feel like a lot of the flaws that people like to point out with Twilight could very easily be pointed towards this whole topic of conversation when it comes to Gypsy and Ryan and Ken. Like, if you see the red flags, run in the opposite direction, okay? Use their story as a warning for what you don't want to happen in your life. If you hear that a woman is married and you want to giggity, okay, and she's cool with it, think about the complications that could bring, okay? If a woman's in prison for murder, okay, maybe don't continue those conversations with that individual. I'm not saying that every person who's ever murdered somebody is a terrible, horrible, awful person. Maybe some of them have justifiable reasons. But I'm just saying, if you see these red flags, investigate them. Don't just ignore them, because otherwise you're going to end up in a situation like Gypsy Ken Ryan or Bella Edward Jacob, but without, the fantastical, magical world behind it. Okay? And frankly, if you take away the magic behind Twilight, it's a pretty screwed up story about a girl who literally is basically being in a tug of war between two very dangerous boy men. There are even men whose hormones are raging through their body and controlling their actions, who have literally killed people, and they're fighting over her, okay? And she's more than happy to be in the middle of the tug of war. And in fact, begs to be in the middle of the tug of war. So I'm just saying, both stories have some very interesting lessons to be learned. And the lessons are, if somebody's in prison, don't marry him. Lesson 2, if somebody is in prison for murder, it's murder, the unaliving of another individual, maybe don't date them. And 3, if somebody is married in a relationship, in a committed relationship, okay, maybe not married, but in a committed relationship, if you go and you stick your Peter in her hoo-ha and you make a baby, there gonna be some complications, okay? Like wondering who the daddy is, okay? So, you don't want complications in life? Then maybe if you come across these specific scenarios, walk in the opposite direction. Just saying, would have saved Ryan a lot of grief. Just like it would have saved most of the people who were Twilight fans a lot of grief if we didn't have to witness the story of an adult predator falling in love with a baby. Just saying. Yeah, life's full of grief. So, cut out the grief where you can, okay? Don't make more grief for yourself. Life's already hard enough, okay? Get a helmet. But if you can't, just remember to look for the silver lining. And the silver lining is, hopefully, this drama saga with the throuple that is Ken, Gypsy, and Ryan will be ending soon. At least let's hope. Either that, or she gets pregnant again, and the saga starts all over again. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But, just thought the analogy was very interesting, and thought maybe somebody else would enjoy it as well. So, take care. Bye-bye.